So I just saw that new Wreck-It Ralph film. Ralph breaks the internet, and I'm gonna talk about it for a little bit. So yeah, let's do that. So, uh, for quick context, I'm not a huge fan of the Disney animated films in terms of their 3D ones. They're fine, I guess. I don't know. And this is their first sequel for a 3D animated one. And if you know Pixar's, yeah, you know what I actually meant, but I still stand corrected. Pixar sequels suck. Track record when it comes to sequels with their animated films. So I went into this with no expectations, or at least very low ones, and I mean they were met. So I'm going to get into each of the aspects of the film, kind of briefly though, because I don't want to spend too much time on this. Be quick. Um, so let's start off with the animation. Now, Pixar. This isn't Pixar though, so I don't know why I'm mentioning Pixar. The Disney animation usually makes pretty good-looking films when it comes to animations. They're very uniquely designed, creative, very colorful. They're fun to look at. But then you get this film. No, it's kind of ugly. Now I'm not saying that the animation is terrible. By no means it isn't. Okay, it is not bad at all. The character designs are still unique and interesting, even though I'm pretty sure their sole purpose is to sell toys. But when it comes to the actual animation, the animation of characters' movement, any actions in the film, they're all very well done and very well choreographed. When it comes to the design, I cannot say the same. It's so generic. That's the problem with this film. It's kind of generic in its design because it has to appease to this internet kind of world. And the original film was about video games, which I thought was great. But they just throw it out the window, that concept, and let's do something about the web, and they do because, some more tickets. And the film just really, really likes to show off, and what they're showing off isn't that interesting. You got like Facebook, but it's a book. Okay. And Twitter's a bird tree. Google's a tower. They also have the dark web, which it's an alleyway. So yeah, it's not very creative, and all the colors are just blue, purple, and gray. In terms of the design, it's very unoriginal and not very fun to look at. But that wouldn't be too bad if it was upped by excellent storytelling, fun characters, funny dialogue, funny stuff, good stuff. This film doesn't do that though. Right off the bat, I could already tell it was not gonna be pretty when it came to the dialogue. Um, I'll get into it a bit later, but it has to feed into the story and characters. So I'm gonna start off with those two aspects really quick. So a quick rundown of the story. It's pretty much about Ralph and Vanellope having to go to the internet to receive an item that belonged to Sugar Rush because it was broken off the machine and they have to get it before the machine shuts down at the end of the week. Now, the film kind of just loses track of time, so this sense of urgency is completely lost and thrown out the window because there's no sense of time or structure at all in this world. So, good job there. The film meanders a lot with the story. After they get to the point where they need to gain money for the item because they need to buy it through eBay, after that point, they just have a montage of all the different ways they're trying to make money for this object, which is a wheel, by the way. That's the story. And also, it focuses on characters, aka really just Ralph, in terms of a development, because Ralph is the only one who has development in this movie. Oh, after hilarious memes ensue, and you have Ralph do a Fortnite dance or two, and is he goat? He does like a goat thing, I guess. I don't know. I think it's in the trailer. I'm not sure. Um, After that point, you get to the most insulting point of the film where people are advertising Ralph's BuzzTube videos. I guess they couldn't get the license to YouTube. So Vanellope goes to a very friendly world, aka Disney World or something along the lines of that for the internet. And she just kind of wonders it and doesn't really advertise that much. She mostly just kind of walks around showing off all the cool. Oh man, Disney has so many properties, right? Doesn't they have? Don't they have many properties? That's pretty much what they're trying to do. They're just trying to show off. I'm getting a little too heated about this. So yeah, they kind of just meander on there, and then you have the princesses, which they marketed a lot, but trust me, if you're seeing this film for them, you're going to be disappointed because they're in like two scenes because they just needed more people to get into the theater. So they, why not princesses? You know what? Why not princesses? So they kind of do that for a while, and that was the most insulting and just obnoxious scene in the whole film. But let's get back to the characters and how the development plays a role into the story, aka just Ralph, like I mentioned before. Ralph's development through this film consists of him having to deal with his insecurities and how he doesn't want Vanellope to move on because she wants to do her own stuff, wants to make her own decisions, and Ralph is kind of clingy to her, even though it wasn't really developed at all, and it kind of felt unnatural for his character, but whatever. Um, and I was kind of glad they had an arc for him because, you know, there's a reason for the sequel then for him. But what about Vanellope? Because she's equally as important and as prominent in this film as he. And they kind of just make her this really, really cool person who doesn't really do anything wrong, and she's just kind of perfect. You could say one choice of hers by not telling Ralph about what she wants to do was a bit of a not cool thing to do, but I mean, they don't really treat it like that, so her character was just so boring because she didn't have any development. She doesn't do anything. She just has choices she wants to make, and they were predictable and not very interesting. So her whole character was just kind of wasted. There's good opportunity to make something interesting out of her, but they just don't do anything, and that was a bit of a bummer. So when it comes to the characters, uh, Vanellope was pretty weak, and Ralph was still kind of unnatural due to the dialogue, which I'll get into a bit. But in terms of all the side characters and everything, they were fine, I guess. They kind of aided the story a bit. I mean, they didn't do anything. Let me just get that out of the way. Barely any side characters in this film get any screen time, so it was just about them too. And even the people in the video game arcade machines, like Fix It Felix and the girl, I forgot her name. They just kind of disappear from the film, which was a bummer because I like those characters and they just kind of just throw them away. Cool. Let's talk about the dialogue that I keep mentioning. It's bad. I mean, when it comes to presenting a message or moral dilemma, this film really doesn't like people trying to understand it without having dialogue and clear lines from the characters pushing the messages in people's faces. I understand some of them are for jokes, and that's fine, even though they didn't land for me. But when you're making a film that has messages, you need to present them in a subtle manner, but not too subtle. For kids' movie, not too subtle. You know, you want to be a little in between. You know, you want to give it enough support for people to understand, including kids, but not too much to where it's so blatantly obvious for adults and for kids. This film clearly didn't understand that, so they went for the blatantly obvious route, and it just got obnoxious quickly. There were so many scenes where Ralph was just angry, and he pretty much just says to the audience, "Oh, I don't want her doing her own thing. Okay, she's my friend. Okay, Ralph, your insecurities are getting in your way. You need to let her do what she wants to do. Make her own decisions." Yeah, I mean, it's kind of clear, right? So a lot of that was going on throughout the whole film, and it just got old fast. And not only that, the jokes didn't land for me. There was one joke that landed in the whole film, and that had to do with video game players and their character models and the animation around them. And then there's a car chase proceeding that was pretty fun and entertaining and well choreographed. But other than that, yeah, the dialogue is horrible and the jokes were really, really lame and predictable and just childish. And I understand it's a children's film, but that doesn't mean you can't just make, interesting and funny jokes for adults too. Not blatant ones, but like kind of like the Lego Movie. But yeah, those three pillars really didn't land for me, and the animation was a bit of a mixed bag for me. So that's all I really have to say about Wreck-It Ralph 2. It's not very good, like at all, and I'd give it probably a 3 out of 10, which is pretty solid for me. In terms of, I'd definitely give it that. If you want to see it and you have kids, it's a fun film. I mean, see that over The Grinch. I haven't seen The Grinch, but it's probably better than The Grinch. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye. Alright, I'm trying this new format. I feel a little more free with this one instead of using a microphone. And I think it's going to work out pretty well. I'm pretty excited to keep on doing this, and I feel like with this format, there's not as much editing, so I can do it more often. And if I'm not like lighting, background noise, I tried a lot of things. It's the only one that seems to be working. Glare. So if anyone has tips or any help at all, I'd very much appreciate it. So yeah, and this one was without a script too. I think these videos are going to be off the cuff kind of discussions by myself for now at least. And I might do more things as I go along. But yeah, this is my Wreck-It Ralph 2 review. I'll probably do another one on maybe Fantastic Beasts 2. Who knows? Anyways, see ya.